Illidan would sound, or what Elmo would sound like trying to imitate Illidan.
Oh, I'm in love, sir. Oh, I'm not prepared.
It's March 13th, 2024, and you know why you're here, so let's kick this off right and introduce the players. Hey, I'm Jarisar, a podcast boomer.
Hey guys, I'm Big Moran. I'm a fire mage enthusiast, and we're joined here today by an electrifying Raishiwi. Please tell me I pronounced that right.
Yeah, Bryce Shiwi, putting the boom back in Boomkin one moonfire at a time. I don't think I've used that one since like 2012, but I'm glad to get to use it again for something.
It's good to have you back, buddy. Like, it's been a hot minute.
It's been a minute. I think I just did the first two with you.
Was it
first couple, two or three?
First five, I think.
I can't hear my voice on Spotify, so I know none of those.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. Welcome back. Episode 200. Appreciate you joining.
200. How many years has it been? How many years has it been?
7.5.
What year did this start?
It was
June. What expansion was it in?
We were just talking about that offline. It was the tail end of WoD. It was
okay. Yeah. The end of Warlords of Draenor. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's and it actually makes sense because I remember like I think it was the second episode we had D Machine on talking from he was at
GCD.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's right. Okay, I do remember this now.
Yeah, so hot minute. It was just a little while ago. And I think so. You haven't been on for a long time. I remember you stopped because life and things were getting hectic for you, your family and everything.
Yeah, two little redhead children that look just like me that are just as terrible as me. So soon my life.
I'm sure they're little angels. But what have you been up to for the last literally 7 years?
I mean, I did play WoW. I still have played all the way up to Dragonflight and stuff. And I got to relive, Burning Crusade. This time around, I was an ambush dagger rogue, and I would just, sit and gank people all day and live that dream finally. And that was amazing. And in Dragonflight, put your pitchforks down now. But the first season especially, I did a lot of solo shuffle as a prop pally. And I loved it. And it was the most fun. I think I was ranked 2 or 3 or something prop pally. But it felt like the most MOBA type character that I've ever seen in this game. And I got a lot of hate and and I get it. But I had instant queues and it was fun. So I did some of that. Doing a lot of creative stuff. I've got another podcast too that I do, totally unrelated with WoW, but it's we talk about purple bad guys, problematic purple people. Maybe one day I'll do Sylvanas and Illidan, or one or the other. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Deep dive them. But I do some voice acting and I do some ad reads. I've done some stuff for like Blue Apron and Change.org and BetterHelp and some stuff like that. And I'm on TikTok doing a bunch of cringy voice impressions and covers and lots of stuff like that. So
you never stop.
That's how I keep my time. No, can't ever. Always have an itch for something.
That's awesome. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad. It sounds like things are going really good for you. I'm glad you're still doing podcasts and that because you have a good voice for it. So.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to come back. It really is kind of an honor. I was really surprised when I woke up to a Discord message from you, and I was very pleased.
Well, I've tried a couple times to get you in, but glad the stars aligned this time, which is awesome.
Yeah, this is the one day of the week I could have done it too, so it just happened to work. Yep.
I love it. So for those who are wondering where Jake is because of time zone change, because daylight savings in North America haven't UK doesn't do it at the same time, so he is still in transit home. So hopefully once he gets home, he'll be able to jump into the podcast. In the meantime, he is stuck having to listen to us ramble on while he is racing home. But while he's doing that, though, I think let's roll into the need, greed, and pass and see what I came up with this time around. If I can click the button.
Likely won't be a clean fight, so keep your distance, eh?
Literally having the worst time with my mouse right now. Anyway, so yeah, need, greed, and pass. As always, this time it's going to be my turn. 3 options are going to be posed, and we'll talk about which option will need, greed, and pass individually. So the scenario, just, since it's the Hearthstone 10th anniversary, we're having yet another crossover, very similar to the one we had with Diablo when it launched. So it got me thinking of what would be some fun other crossovers that Blizzard can do with World of Warcraft. And so, of course, the 2 that jumped out right away was StarCraft and Overwatch. Those would be some pretty neat ones. And then also kind of realizing, with the whole Activision Blizzard thing, Call of Duty is also on the Blizzard launcher and seems to be quite situated, infiltrating into the Battle.net. So I was thinking, what about a crossover with Call of Duty when the next genre of next video game comes out? So that's the thing. What crossovers would you like to see infiltrate into World of Warcraft between StarCraft, Overwatch, and Call of Duty? I'm going to throw it to you first there, Rasiwi.
Well, the first thing I thought of is not WoW, but I really want to see just like a first-person shooter in the StarCraft universe now. So I would pick Call of Duty and StarCraft. But for Warcraft, I think I want like a Diablo crossover, and somehow we take all our people from Azeroth are fellbound and they end up in the pits of hell, and we end up in a Diablo type game, but with our Warcraft characters and stuff. That would be that top-down loot system.
That'd be neat.
Well, I think Warcraft in a pit of hell is I think you just described solo shuffle lobbies for the past few months.
I thought you were gonna say Shadowlands, but yeah.
That's true. Shadowlands
just play Prop Pally, and you won't have to worry about those queue times.
Well, there was that Diablo crossover that happened. What was that? Technically last year. Yeah. Where they have the portals open up and some, they had treasure goblins and all that stuff. But I don't know, what would you like to see in World of Warcraft though? Would you like to see StarCraft characters showing up and we'd have to kill them, or Overwatch characters show up, or
I think StarCraft fits the most, but Overwatch is definitely the most fun.
All right.
Definitely the most fun idea, I think.
Okay.
I would not, if Tracer gave me a quest, I'm not going on it. I'm just not going on that quest. I'm deleting that quest and I'm leaving. So Kerrigan and Raynor and stuff would fit a lot more into the Warcraft universe. They just kind of show up in this, it's just a planet. Azeroth's just a planet, kind of land. That could make sense.
Okay.
Make more sense than
between StarCraft, Overwatch, and Call of Duty, you need on Overwatch.
Yeah, I'm needing on Overwatch just out of the memes and the Rule 34. I'm gonna greed on StarCraft.
Okay,
I'm gonna
pass on Call of Duty. All right, Big. What are your choices, man?
So I think I'm gonna need on Overwatch because I like the idea of having an ultimate ability, and if you could maybe have a battleground for that event where every class gets like an ultimate or something, I think that'd be really cool. Imagine doing Warsong Gulch where there's like, missiles flying across the map or something like that, like a hunter gets like a missile, right? I think that'd be really cool. So I'm gonna need on Overwatch. I don't know what I'm gonna greed on because I honestly don't have that much experience playing either StarCraft or Call of Duty. I'm gonna greed on Call of Duty for one reason. I don't know if you follow Megaset on Twitter. She plays Mistweaver Monk in PvE.
Yep.
She had a really funny tweet a while back. And the tweet just said, Mistweaver monks need guns. And like the point, I think the point she's trying to make is like, Mistweaver monks, they heal through their damage, but you can't really damage if you're outside of melee range. So if only you had a gun, And maybe I need a gun as a resto druid too, to snipe a rogue across the map trying to get a re-stealth. So I think I'm gonna greed on Call of Duty. Like maybe they could have like some little, again, some ability you could use in PvP. That'd be really fun. We could all run around in arena with our AK-47s, and I think that would be a fun time.
And snipers, and yeah, that'd be great. I could just picture a tree with like dual pistols just wobbling around.
Exactly.
Boomkins they don't have fingers though. What do they do?
Yeah. So actually, just for funsies, I'm going to need on Call of Duty, just because I want to see. I love how the Blizzard team has a really fun steampunk idealism where they turn things and steampunk them. So I'd love to see like a steampunk version of Call of Duty, but with World of Warcraft art assets. So I just feel like that'd be real fun. So, and then I'm actually going to greed on StarCraft, if only because of the the Zortos and what were the
Protoss and Protoss Zerg Terran.
Yeah, that's right. The Zerg and the Protoss. I want to see like how would we as World of Warcraft players be able to fight against pylons and like little Zerglings running around the ground and stuff like that, like
with magic. Wizards good again. Yeah, some poor orc just walking up to a tank,
right?
Yeah.
They get run over by a tank.
Well, obviously you do like the Warhammer mythology, and they would just steal the tank. The orcs would just steal the tanks. They'd steal all the tech, and then you'd have orcs with tech.
That would be horrible, actually. Is it? Maybe that's why
Zerg-infested humans, Zerg-infested gnomes. That's what I need.
Oh my gosh, Zerg. Ooh, Protoss upgraded mecha gnomes. They have
I
like
can see that. Yeah, using the crystal, the pylon power.
Yeah, right.
Goblins too.
Gosh. Oh my gosh! All right.
Yeah, I kind of need that. Also, when you were describing Overwatch with the ultimates, all I could think was he just wants Convoke back. Like he wants Convoke to be good again. That's all it sounded like. I don't know if I want that.
Hey, I mean, I'll take any ability that one shots anyone. For sure.
I mean, it is fun.
I was watching Markers the other day. He was playing his Boomy with Full Moon, and just like just nuking people, dropping full moons on their heads.
I like watching Markers play. He's like a bastion of hope for anyone who, like any healer who misses the days of playing aggressive, like he's always trying to make it work. And I guess when he plays Boomy, I've seen him play Full Moon, which is pretty rare these days, but I respect it.
Yeah, I didn't think it did enough damage. I didn't think it did any last time I played. I've played for this expansion though.
It hits pretty hard. If you get the stars to align, it's pretty big damage, but kind of hard getting to that point in the arena.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. Full Moon's been one of those things that like is always good, either at the very beginning or an expansion, like where it's all scaled weird.
Yeah. There was one patch earlier this expansion where they buffed it, and it was insanely broken. And that was the most fun I ever had playing Arena in Dragonflight, was queuing Solo Shuffle when Full Moon was at its peak. Because you'd press that button and you could just evaporate someone with like a Star Surge after. Yeah, it was
your 45 minutes, just get one shot.
Oh, I had a blast.
I bet you did.
Too funny. I think I don't know. I think Full Moon is one of those meme comps, right? It's like if you're able to get the stars to align, if you're able to just get the the shots off, then you can wipe somebody. But you have to be able to get through a whole bunch of defensives and everything in order to make it work. Where the person can't mitigate it, and the healer can't mitigate it, and all that stuff. But anyway, I think that's it for the Need, Greed, and Pass. As always, if you're at home and you're listening to this, pop on over to our Discord channel. Let us know which one you would need, Greed, or Pass between those crossovers. In the meantime, though, we're going to talk quickly about WoW PvP events, or lack thereof.
Get in there and fight! Stop hiding!
All right, so upcoming WoW PvP events. So we know that there's going to be Season 4 stuff. The signups for that is going to be happening in April over at the Raider.io site. They aren't open yet, so no dates exactly. Because we don't know when Season 4 hasn't been announced yet, right? We don't know the exact dates for that. No. So whenever that happens, I'm sure that'll open up. I'm expecting endish of April is probably going to be AWC again, but nothing confirmed, of course. And then the other events that we know of that are technically old events that got pushed to the right is Big Cal was going to do his dueling tournament for gold over on the EU servers, and then OTK was going to do another Season of Discovery tournament, which has been pushed to sometime in the summer. No dates for that exactly. Unfortunately, that's all that we are aware of, which really isn't much. So hopefully we have some better information for the next episode. And that's probably going to be the shortest PvP event segment we've done for a while. Hey, Big? I think.
Yeah. I mean, usually there's Dalaran Gaming, and Flark, right? There's always, it seems to be something, but...
No, Flark hasn't done one for a while. And I mean, Dalaran Gaming has occasionally done his 5v5s, but I haven't seen him post about that for quite a while. Pardon me, I got the hiccups.
Yeah.
It's almost like there should be some more community events. I think we've paid this lip service. I think we should probably do something.
Yeah, anything.
we gotta
PvP transmog contest, even like something.
Yeah. Which one is your favorite PvP tier set? That'd be an interesting.
Yeah.
I'm pretty partial to my Warlock with the chains and the skulls. I can't remember what season it is.
Warlocks and Death Knights always get the coolest transmogs.
I don't know.
That's a fact.
This season 3 of Dragonflight's Priest looks pretty sweet.
I don't even remember what it looks like.
Oh, you know what one I surprisingly like? You're a druid, Big, so you could resonate with this. Everything's always kind of, it's either like feather or flower themed on everything. I think it was in Shadowlands. It was like the first season, the elite gear, like legit looked like a demon hunter outfit, especially on like a Tauren. And that's one of my favorites. That's way up there because it doesn't look anything like a druid. It looks like something a demon hunter would wear. Like it looks like a vampire hunter D.
The Shadowlands transmog sets were all kind of like gothic, they all had that look. I mean, that was really an expansion where the sets of the gear kind of sort of matched the theme. I mean, I really like the elite sets this expansion. Like there have been some absolute bangers. Like a Priest during season 2 had, the like angelic, like warrior look to them, where they had the wings and the glowing, out of their backs. Like that looked really sick. Mm-hmm. But they've really stepped up the tier sets. I was looking back. By the way, if you ever want to see like how far we've come, just look at BFA sets. BFA sets were terrible looking. Like, oh my gosh, what a bad time for transmog if you're from that era. But my God, like we've come a long way for sure.
Well, I think we could talk about this later into the subject analysis, but I remember when we had Chris Kaliki on, I'm pretty sure he said that in development, the budget that they had for developing the PvP side of the game got Yeah, I got took to help finish off the PvE stuff. That's why season 1 was like kind of, there really wasn't a PvP implementation. It was, some honor gear maybe, and then it was just going. Yeah. Anyway, it wasn't good.
Yeah, all the Burning Crusade, was like a big show off for every class. Like Vengeful for every single class was this huge show off transmog.
Yeah.
And then season 4 kind of felt like a little more generic, and then from then on it got a little more generic. But yeah, it comes and goes. Cataclysm was pretty cool. Transmogs.
Oh yeah,
I didn't really like any Wrath stuff. Not as a druid anyway.
Well, there's kind of an event that happened recently. The Kata beta opened. Can't boost to 85 right now. You have to, I believe, level if you want to play that. But I'm assuming they're going to have some sort of 85 boost here in the coming weeks, and people are going to be able to play Cataclysm again. I've been researching it for videos, and I've had a fun time. I always like going back to the past, and there's a lot of stuff I forgot existed, and I'm like, wow, that was a cool. Like Shadow Priests and Kata were awesome. It was an amazing design. And so I'm kind of excited for Kata. I was excited for Wrath, but Kata, it's kind of a bridge, I think, between old and new, and it's going to be a fun time.
It was. I think that's exactly what it was. They did a great job with Kata. I'm excited to see Kata Classic.
Yeah.
While we're talking about looking back, why don't we get into the subject analysis and really talk about why we're here?
I'm gonna light you up, sweet cheeks.
Alrighty. Right before we start, though, I just want to do this little clip that we got sent to us from Blizzard. One sec.
This is Morgan Day, Associate Game Director for World of Warcraft. You're listening to Technically PvP, and I just want to say congratulations on hitting episode 200.
Thanks, Morgan. So that was courtesy of the WoW team, Associate Director Morgan Day, wishing us a happy 200th, which is really awesome because he was the one dev that we had that came on to the show, and we did a dev interview back in 2019, which was
nice,
really awesome. Great conversation with him. He so I think actually a big kudos to Morgan, considering he started as a quality assurance guy. If I remember, he said him and his brother traveled across country and joined Blizzard as QA, as part of the QA team, and now he's moved up to Associate Game Director, which is,
oh my gosh,
pretty awesome. Yeah, it's I actually suspect that if Ian Hazzikostas ever leaves, Morgan Day is situated to be his replacement. I suspect, but I think let's roll into this. Let's, we kind of we talked about it briefly there when we were first talking in the intro. But yeah, this is our 200th episode. The podcast all started back on the 28th of June, 2016. And here we are, just over 7.5 years later with episode 200. I'm pretty happy for this. I think, Rasiwi, since you were here day one, pretty much, what were your favorite moments as either a co-host or even anything that you've listened to over the years?
I mean, I was glad to be there for the beginning, because it was like kind of on the way out where I wanted to do a podcast, and I had done a little bit in some interviews with some people, and I wasn't going to be able to do it like that forever. And when you reached out to me, that was like the perfect like segue, and felt like I felt that it was in good hands, the like PvP podcast, because there was no podcast before that. So it's nice to have a place that people can go to. You brought up the D Machine stuff. I know I did like the interview with Vin and Soda and Azale. Getting to hear Azale's voice again, because like that's my caster that I grew up with. Because I remember in the very early, like the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King tournaments, like you could hardly even find them to watch, but he was the caster for the longest time. So yeah, I was glad to hear his voice again. That was great.
Yeah, I was super proud when we were able
And
to
obviously
get that
Vin
lined up.
Ruki, that's my boy. Elliot's my boy. He wore like some Rashiwi merch the day my first child was born. Just as a shout out. So love Vin.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I missed that. I missed that connection. Sorry.
Well, it was before the podcast even. So that was probably, it was 8 years ago. Because you said the podcast started June 28th, 2016. Yeah, my kid was born 2016. So.
Yeah, actually, because I remember as we like the first few months, seeing little Rasiwi Junior running around there, and we were like doing stuff.
No, there's another one. And she's smaller and more deadly. A little Godzilla, a little supervillain in training.
But taking care of her well, then that's awesome.
Yeah.
Teaching them well.
Yeah, dad is more stressful and more fun than I thought it would be. So, if you're scared about being a dad, you should be. But it'll be all right. If there's anybody listening that's like 1 month out, I know there's somebody. It's gonna be okay. It won't be okay, but it'll be okay.
Yeah.
You always have WoW to go back to. It's okay. You can play that any time of day when they're not sleeping. It's fine.
I think it all depends. I think it depends on yourself, your kid, the needs of the family. I remember, years, when I first had my child, my firstborn, holding her in my arms, with have her all swaddled up and holding I propped the formula bottle in her mouth, or the bottle in her mouth, so she could drink it, and then I just fished with my MMO mouse.
Oh yeah.
The only thing I could do.
There has definitely been some of that gone on during the years, for sure. Yeah, that's what's nice about like a Naga type mouse. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, Naga keeps me sane. All right, Big, is you joined in? Well, so first off, you actually were first on the show back in episode 32 when we're talking about the 7.3 patch.
Yeah, I don't even remember how that came about. If I'm assuming you probably DM'd me or something.
Yeah,
and
that's pretty much how I get everybody on this show. Is I just DM randomly.
Yeah, because I wonder what I was doing. I think I wasn't working for Skill Cap. Well, I probably was working part-time for Skill Cap at the time. It was probably not my main job. So, like, man, it's such a blur to me these past 8 years, to be honest, when it comes to sort of my content creation life. I kind of cringe at that word, content creator, but it's all been kind of a blur to me. But yeah, I remember that first podcast talking about, it must have been 7.3 must have been Legion, right? That must have been the end of Legion. Yeah, so probably just thinking about tier lists even back then, I love tier lists. But I mean, over the years, I mean, to steal some of, actually, we'll go in reverse. So I really enjoyed, by the way, the episode we did last time on RBGs. That was a really fun episode. I mean, despite the fact that there's some questionable things in the chat, but aside from that, I really enjoyed that episode, and I really enjoyed the Jamili episode a lot. I thought that was a nice little treat. Having a character like Jaw on to talk about Frost Mage, and him accidentally cursing and apologizing and then cursing again. It was good. But yeah, and then I guess some of the more distant podcast. Oh, also I have to throw this in. I really enjoyed our podcast about. It was another recent one about gear being available that is unobtainable. That was a really fun conversation. Yes. I think, I don't know if you were playing devil's advocate or you really believed what you're saying, but either way, I thought it was a really good conversation to have. Very timely, and that's something I think I like to do more often, is sort of take the current events, maybe the current drama, when there is current drama, and maybe talk about it, because I think there's some interesting questions, and I think there's all sorts of subjects we can talk about that might be controversial or might cause people to disagree, but I think it's worthwhile to have those conversations for sure. And as far as podcasts from the past, I have to agree. I really, really enjoyed the cast with Azael, Fenruki, and Soda. I think that was the three, right?
Yeah.
Before TBC, or it was around the same time as TBC was being released.
Yeah.
And that was really entertaining. You know, those are, as Rashiwi mentioned, like three players that are sort of icons for anyone who played WoW since TBC or who was playing PvP at that time in Wrath Lich King, Cataclysm. You know, those were, you know, the players. And of course, you know, Azael has that, as Rashiwi mentioned, that iconic casting voice. And so to be able to kind of get the old squad back, right, and talk about PvP back in the day, I thought that was a really fun, because I always like looking back at old expansions and, you know, thinking about how things were. You know, I'm a big fan of nostalgia and WoW, so I definitely enjoyed that episode. And yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of great guests on. And you know, Jake at one point was a guest. He's not here yet, but he was a guest. So yeah,
at least he's on time for his own guest spot.
That's right. Yeah, and I think I did that episode out of my dad's guest house. I remember like this, and I didn't have a light, and so over the course of that podcast, my face just gets darker. Like like my camera gets darker and darker because I didn't have a light, and the sun was setting, and I was like, uh-oh, we're on a clock here.
That's funny. I remember that.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because I remember we had a Bonnie on, and same thing. Like he was just getting darker and darker because again, same thing. He didn't have a light on, and so finally had to turn the light on, and boom. That was funny. No, those are awesome. So many great memories. So many. I mean, like all the number of people that when we reached out to agreed to be on the show and just talk about World of Warcraft, talk about PvP, talk about the things that they love, talk, you know, be it the class, be it you know, something going on in PvP. It's just it's been, I feel like I've been blessed. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, I had another one. For some reason, episode 8 was with Rogues, and for some reason it was one of my dumb friends, and I never listened to that, but I'm scared to go back and listen to that because. Yeah. But anyway, you got one of my actual like buddies that I'd played with for a long time. I had no idea that he was on the podcast. So laser tag. I need to check that.
He was good to have on. Him and Shoe Boots.
He's charismatic, but
yeah. I'm trying to think now. When was that? That was
episode 8.
Yeah, that was Ghost Shoes and Laser Tag. So that's when I had the two of them on, just talking about Rogues in general. They went on. I remember them ping ponging back and forth off each other quite a bit. That was a really good show.
I'm glad. I think I maybe back in the day, laser tag, I might have had little TOS edit type stuff, little nudging, like you said about Jabili, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that was just a side tangent. Sorry.
No worries. Happy to have it. Because I remember, I think you helped me get Glinks on. That was kind of fun.
Yeah. Glinks was on. Oh my gosh.
episode 3.
Was he even playing WoW at the time?
Yeah, that was about when he made the video about like the like warlocks could fear you above, like through the universe, through time, through a pillar, whether they can see you, whether they can't see you, whether they're like in line of sight, not. Yeah.
I haven't checked up on Glinks in a while. Glink, that you just conjured up some memories for me. That's one of my oldest adversaries, you know. Glinks. I need to see what my old enemy is doing.
I think he quit a while ago, actually. I'm not sure what he's up to. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like, you know, teeing off with the guys over on GCD TV. So D Machine back in episode 2, talking about, you know, PvP, talking about doing community esports stuff. And then later on, we had El Bareth, episode 7. So I think that was around because D Machine and Hannah, David and Hannah, had both been hired to take on the WoW esports side of Blizzard. So then they had to hand off GCD to El Bareth, who was kind of became the face and the name for that, which was awesome.
All of this, I forgot all of this. You're bringing back so many memories.
You're welcome. Another one I really loved was because of the podcast, meeting up and becoming really good friends with Rye CP and Foxy Hippo, because Rye was also he'd actually started another podcast as well, or was doing one around the same time about PvP, and was trying to get a whole ecosystem to try to help players get together and everything with that as well. But he helped me up the game. He because he was doing he was learning how to do graphics and stuff like that, so he made our graphics and ended up I think I got the audio clip, and so he was able to make an intro with it and all that stuff. So it was thanks to him. He really helped improve the look and the feel of the podcast back in the early days. I used that for the longest time. I think from Legion all the way up until we joined Warcraft Radio here, and they again leveled up our graphics and our audio setups and all that. So well, at least the sound bumpers and all that stuff. And then Foxy Hippo with his guides and everything. That was really fun working with him and doing some stuff. I think ultimately though, the biggest feathers in the show's cap, I'd say, was meeting up with Unitas, the owner and org leads of Unitas. They sat down and we had an interview back at BlizzCon 17, and then BlizzCon 18 being invited as press. So we had press access to all the players and talking to most of the teams there. And then the dev interview, Morgan Day, that was episode 84 back in 2019. We're well overdue for another discussion with devs. For those who are wondering, I am trying. I have been asking, but obviously, there's only so many dev interviews that they can do, and it's not easy. Another great one was Chris Kaliki shortly after he left Blizzard. Blessed the show with a great discussion talking, and he really gave some great insights into what the development of World of Warcraft is like in the backgrounds from his point where he's working the systems, but how they have like pillars of development and really because PvP is a culmination of a bunch of systems. It's not just one person making that decision making. It's more collaborative, kind of a discussion. So at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to personalities, and at the end of the day, a decision has to be made whether they do this way or that way, and just all that. So it was really interesting to see how that worked. And I think I still have, where do I have this? I'm going to throw this one in here right now. This is actually, I think, 2018, talking to Brian Holinka.
This is Brian Holinka, and you're listening to Technically PvP.
No, I actually ran into him. He was when you get to BlizzCon, at the back of the hall for the World of Warcraft, where they have the arena and all that, they have a big table and a bunch of poster boards and markers and that, so you can make your own poster boards. And he was back there running the table. So I got him to give a shout out to the show. So I had to pull that one out. Knock the dust off of that one.
Is he as jacked in real life as he is on camera?
He was solid. Like
dude lifts.
Yeah. Like you know when like you shake somebody's hand or you pat somebody on the back, you like him, it felt like I was hitting a brick wall. Like it was just like like dude is solid. So let's see here, what else? So you guys mentioned obviously again that Burning Crusade Classic launch, having Azale and Soda on along with Vendriku was absolutely amazing. I think another one that I was really especially proud of is getting Blizzo, Maro, Brain, and Ceralium on after they won season 1 of 2021 AWC. That was a fun show. Just like, because you talk to when you talk to AWC players, especially when they come off of winning a finals like that, you kind of I was expecting to hear them talk about like all the hours that they played and all the practice they put in, and they're like, yeah, no, we just got together, a day before or whatever, played some games. Yeah, we're good. It kind of blew my mind, like just how I guess like they've already and I guess that's the thing, like the amount of time and practice they've already put in to become an expert to get there just meant that they already had the knowledge. It's not like they had to do any practicing or any knowledge gaining to become better or to do the job, right?
Yeah, and I think that's actually super smart. I don't think enough teams probably do that. I think probably people overcram and overpractice, and maybe that can be helpful for a specific strategy or something. But like for overall, I think for anything, like you can definitely over prepare.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of how they talked about it. Was pretty much that same idealism. But that was a fun conversation. And then I think the other big one, just having the WoW esports guys on. So D Machine when he was working there at Blizzard, and then later on, or more recently, was having Adrian there, Healing Stat, on talking about is what they're up to for the year. As much as we tried, we never got to hear what was happening beyond that, though. If it wasn't announced officially, try as we may, we could never get them to talk about what was coming down the pipeline. They were well.
But hindsight, we kind of got maybe glimpses, because I remember, I think this might have been the D Machine. Okay, was there multiple D Machine?
Yes.
Okay, I think the later one, the one that was more recent, I think he did mention that the WoW esports team, was cooking up something really interesting. And I think he was alluding to the cross-region tournaments, if I had to guess. Because before that time, there was no cross-region tournament before the end of Shadowlands, correct? Mm-hmm. Like there was no BlizzCon for multiple years, so the regions were always really isolated. And I want to say that that's probably what he was referring to. And awesome. I'm really... Yeah, and even if it wasn't, I'm really happy the cross-region tournaments exist. I know there's maybe some concerns, right, around latency and whatnot, but I think as a fan of WoW esports, it is the best thing they've done in recent years, is bring that back. And now, if only we could have that on a big giant LAN. Potentially BlizzCon, and not the way they did it last year. Not this last BlizzCon. 2 little dingy stages in the back.
What was that like there, Big? What was that like?
I don't really know. Yeah, it was just really crowded. It was just really weird. I can't really explain it. It was like an afterthought. I was like, oh shoot, we have a tournament. Like, where are we gonna put this? Oh, let's put it in the back of the hall and have no seats. Like, make it a standing room with 3 little monitors to look at.
Yeah, and to do it at the streamer station was just weird. Like, that was... Yeah.
I will say this. It was really cool being that close to the players. Mm-hmm. That was the cool part. Because, normally at BlizzCon, the players are on that big stage and they're kind of far back. You can't really even see them. Yeah. But being close to them, I thought that was the coolest part. And, if there was one redeeming quality. It was definitely that. And I think another insanely cool thing about that tournament actually was the fact you could see multiple perspectives. And I believe that was the same thing if you're watching at home, right? You could watch, like, there, everyone was streaming. Am I correct on that? Like, so you could watch the tournament from the, Venruki Supati's perspective, or you could watch the tournament from the player perspective. I thought that was really neat.
It was.
And something I would definitely encourage in the future. I mean, I know people stream their cup games sometimes, but I'd like to see that for, the bracket games.
I honestly, I can't watch other people's streams when it comes to tournament. Like, I have a hard enough time watching PvP streams as it is, because from the player's perspective, between the weak auras, Gladius, Omnibar, Omni CD, their buff bar, their debuff bar, and just like, I can't see the gameplay. I'm not even watching what's happening on the screen, really. I'm just watching, little icons flash on and flash off, and hearing an air horn once in a while. Like, it's the worst. It's becoming the worst experience, is trying to watch a PvP player play PvP at a high skill level.
Yeah, I know that's been kind of a conversation for a long time. WoW is hard to follow, and I guess the spectator client makes it a bit easier, but still doesn't make it completely easy. I actually find it easier to follow when it's from the player perspective. So I'm kind of the reverse. I think that's why I like. Well, I'm just kind of used to it, I guess. I just watch streams all the time, so it's kind of a natural way for me to engage with the game.
Well, and it's probably how you play the game, anyways.
Yes, correct. With a million weak auras, you need a million weak auras these days.
Well, of course. Who? Anyways, yeah, we're not going to get into add-on. We have a whole episode about that.
I had a friend that used the spectator UI for his gaming, his actual UI to play, and I thought that was bizarre.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen people request how do I get questions in the Discord, how do I make my UI look like this? I'm like, I don't know if you want your UI to look like this. Things are pretty standard for a reason at this point. But, to each their own.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I guess I know for PvE it makes sense to have that wide open area in the front, because you're moving out of puddles, you're seeing what the all the mechanics are going off and stuff like that. I'm not so sure if you need to have that same field of view for arena play. I don't know. I definitely see it for battlegrounds, because you need to see what's happening in the distance for a battleground. But I find with arena, I don't think you need that. I don't know. I guess that's the difference, though. It depends on what you want to see, I guess, to play the game. So
yes.
Games came a long way. I do have one question. Maybe you guys know. Currently, any of the tournament orgs, is there a pay to entry fee for anything, or is everything qualifier invite? Because I know back in the day when it was MLG, like in 2008, 2009, teams would have to pay MLG. You get 4 players, and you would pay $5,000 to enter, and the grand prize was $15,000 for a team at the time. So they were basically, so if they didn't place first, it's it was a net loss no matter what for them.
Really, I didn't know that.
Stuff. Yeah, it was $5,000 to enter. Because at the same time, I think StarCraft doing per person, and I think it was 150 to enter, and there were 100 computers lined up. Gee.
Wow.
Way back in the day, but I didn't think there was any pay to enter things anymore. But I thought it was just all qualify or invite.
No, so I think for World of Warcraft, there was originally the tournament realm. And it wasn't called Tournament Realm at the time, though. It was the arena server, where you had to pay an extra $25 to access it. And then that ladder led to the what was it? The Intel Extreme Masters.
And then at
Well,
one
there
point
used to
they
be-
they got MLG back, and they actually like had the full on open tournament. I remember I got some friends to compete in that too. Thousands and thousands of people competing in those tournaments. Super.
I think they changed in Warlords, I want to say. So before Warlords, there was always an arena tournament server that you had to pay like $20 to, or if you're Canadian, you could write a letter to enter. I don't know if you knew that, Garrison.
I did not know that.
Yeah, because there's some Canadian law that requires any, I don't know how it is, like competition to have a free way of entering. And so if you're Canadian, you could just write a letter saying, hey, I want to compete in this tournament. Please let me. And they do it.
Oh my god.
So yeah, they're...
Son of a...
Yeah. So it used to be, there was a tournament realm and there was a tournament ladder. And so you'd queue actual 3v3 and the top 8 teams would then qualify to the regionals and then play against each other. And then that would funnel into BlizzCon. The top 2 teams or top 3 teams would go to BlizzCon.
Yep.
Then I think in WoD, they started the cup system.
Yeah.
Where, because I think that's the expansion where they started cups. And then, it was just open, sign up on, I don't know what the website was before. It was Raider.io. It was what, Game Battles or something?
Yeah. It was essentially MLG.
Yeah, you'd sign up for it with a team and it was completely free.
Yeah.
And it's been that way ever since. So you just sign up with the team as long as you're all eligible, you get, the green light, then you're entered into a bracket on a designated day. And if you win some games, then you go to the weekend, finals and you play in the top 8. And it's been that way, I think, since WoD. So
I think it was a little bit before that. I think the difference that WoD brought in was the option for 4-player rosters and
didn't they have 5 for one at one point too? I thought you could have 2 extras for like. I can't. Maybe I'm.
I think there was 3. I think the limit was 3 for a while. I think it was 3 up to Mists of Pandaria. I don't remember when they changed it from 3. Because it must have been WoD is when they opened it up to 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because even I'm trying to think of the last tournament in MOP, which was BlizzCon 2014. I don't remember. I think everyone had a 3-man roster because it was 3 amigos. It was Snuts, Venruki, Sidu, Looney's team was 3 people. Everyone had 3 people. And then in WoD, there was now a 4th. Because I remember it was kind of weird. Cubsy's team in WoD. It was Cubsy, Wealthy Man, and Roasties. They had a 3-man roster, which is kind of weird. Everyone was like, "Oh, why don't they have a 4th?" Because they played RMD. So WoD was the first time you could have 4 players. But I don't think there was ever a time where you could have 5, unless it was
maybe the 4 was just way earlier because it wasn't Reckful's story. Wasn't he the 4th on his team? And he wasn't playing?
That was during the MLG days. I think you could have
the Orange Mormon. Yeah, that might have not been Blizzard at all.
No, that was MLG circuit stuff.
Yeah, which they were doing for Blizzard, but
yeah, that was the qualifier for Blizz.
Mm-hmm.
It is interesting how the actual BlizzCon has had like 3-4 different like subsidiaries, like the GCT TV, the AWC, to like get them to the actual finals. It's what a roller coaster.
It's been interesting. I almost feel like we should get those people back on sometime. GCD and definitely want to get Healing Stat back on again. But I feel like WoW Esports is almost due with this war with incoming, and would be about the same time that they should do like some changes, maybe toss up the format a little bit more. See what they'll do.
I agree, because it's been the same for such a long time, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with it, right? But it just, there needs to be something a bit different. I don't know what it would be though. One thing I do. Here's a question for you guys. What do you guys think about the no double elimination for grand finals? Because I know that's kind of one of the biggest oddities of WoW esports. And if you're listening at home, WoW is one of the only games where if you make it to the grand finals from the loser's side, then you just have to win one series and you can win the grand finals. Where typically in games, there's grand finals resets. So if you're on the winner's side, even if you lose the first round of the grand finals, there's a second round. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what do you guys think about that rule? Because I've always thought that was a bit weird.
Definitely should change it. It makes everything confusing. And then the way they show it, it's like it's a second set of a best of 13 or something instead of just a normal like best of 3 or 5. I think it makes everything more confusing. I think it probably is like, I don't know, if you're somebody, I'm sure, like, but I don't know what team or what person would like.
So
yeah,
as far as I understand, it's the competitors that actually asked for that, to not have not have bracket reset if the losers win. And I think part of that is because the so first off, they've always had a best of 7 for the grand finals rather than a best of 5, which so then you'd end up having to play like possibly 14 rounds back to back. Like that's a lot of games, and that's like some super sweaty games to be playing. So I think that's why they've decided the players asked to not do that and just accept the fact that, you know, as from the lowers, you have a possibility of taking the grand finals if you crush it. So
yeah, I can't help but think though that some of these rules were kind of made during a period of time where the pacing of the game was much slower. Like,
yeah, I was just thinking it would depend if it's like a dampening meta versus burst meta. It might be completely different what you would want as a competitor.
Well, can you guys imagine like Cloud9 days when they were doing like 13-minute games each round?
Well, or the tournament that caused dampening to exist was BlizzCon 2012, the year Venruki won, where every game in that tournament, or every game in the grand finals, was like a timeout.
Yep.
Like a 20-minute timeout. That's crazy. That's one thing. Dampening is, I don't know if you listened to the, I hate to say I was cheating on you, I was listening to another podcast, but
let me guess, you listened to the Potty C?
Yeah, with Venruki.
Yeah,
and
that's okay, I cheated on myself.
Dranos asked a question that I think he misunderstood dampening, because he's like, is dampening in a good place right now? And I think he asked that question under the assumption that they tune dampening every season, which is not the case. But I was like, maybe Dranos is onto something. Maybe they need to tune dampening to scale with like the pace of the game, you know? Because that's one sort of jarring thing, as you mentioned, about watching a tournament, is like the length of the games can just vary so much depending on the meta, right? And if there was some way to sort of standardize the length of WoW Arena games a bit better, especially in tournaments, I mean, I would enjoy that. Those Cloud9 days, that was like BFA, I think, right? Like, oh my gosh, like I remember like the series would start, I'd go out and like watch a movie, and I'd come back and the same series would still be playing. I mean, that was dreadfully long, right? That was not fun.
No. Pardon me?
Tuning dampening, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Born Good actually made a tweet about that, asking if, if in like the higher rated arenas, let's say like, 2100, it starts at 5%, and then at 23 it's 10% or something like that, and then higher. So then because I feel like I think that's the difference with AWC is it's kind of hard. So with AWC, the players are so well versed in gameplay and they know how to trade efficiently. So the games they do seem to go on for quite a while until finally either somebody messes up, or again, dampening and mana just end up decide the game. I also find, and this isn't universal, but I find a lot of AWC games, because there's so much money on the line and whatnot, and where this where it goes, often it feels like while the players are trying to kill the other team, they're also playing more defensively than they would if they're playing just regular arena.
Yeah, they're trying not to die more than they're trying to win. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that delays it longer as well.
Yeah, there's this weird paradox I've noticed where high level players, they think healers are overpowered, but lower rated players think the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
There's this sentiment. If you go on the World of PvP Reddit, you don't have to look very far, and people complain of how miserable it is to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And while there might be some truth to that, there's kind of this idea that healers are weak among the non upper echelon players. So yeah, I think dampening would be the way to tune that, where you make dampening more powerful at higher ratings and less powerful at lower ratings. That makes sense to me. I can maybe sort of predict from a game design perspective that Blizzard wouldn't like that, because it might be, they've used this word confusing a lot of times. If something is a good idea that makes a lot of sense on paper, usually the excuse of why it's not implemented is, oh, it's too confusing. And I mean, I think I don't know if that's a good excuse.
Just prior to dampening, do you remember the system before that, where it was like it had like 3 stages, and the last stage you basically were like one-shotting each other?
Yeah, it was called The Crowd Chose You.
Yeah,
and
that's what that. We could go back to that.
Yeah, if the game timed out, whatever team did more damage would get a buff, and then they would one-shot. Which is an interesting way to solve that problem.
I also think what you just said about the high rating to low rating, I think that's always been a problem with people that are like also new getting into PvP at all, is you're watching like the highest rated player in the world play their spec versus the highest rated player in the world, and they're taking that advice like as something they should use when they're on the last page of the last chapter, where they should just be starting at page 1. And I think that because like that is only a thing that's happened since like streaming, I think. But
yeah.
I feel it's the same thing even with PvE, where people would try to copy like the race to world first strats.
Yeah, you just copy their talents and you'll be fine. And it doesn't work at all because you don't know how to use them.
Not understanding why that's linked, why that was done that certain way, and sometimes there's certain talent choices that are done because of their teammates and who they're playing with, and to lean off of other strengths, or oh, I don't need that survivability because my healer is super awesome and will keep me alive. In the meantime, if you're doing LFR, good luck.
I've definitely been asked, why are you running X talent instead of something else? Well, the answer is I'm dumb and I suck, and I'm going to screw it up if I do the other one. So I'm not even going to give myself the chance to screw it up.
Yeah.
Usually the answer.
That's why I like to play the cheat death talent as a vengeance DH tank, is because if I screw up, at least I have a chance to recover because I didn't die. It's
got to be idiot proof for me to play too.
Yeah. Easy to pick up, hard to master. I'm somewhere in the middle. All right. Back to the show though. I don't think Jake's gonna actually be able to join us, unfortunately. It's probably too late for him now. It's one last round. Is there any other highlights? Anything else that happened in the last 199 episodes that you think is worthy reminiscing about?
Kind of roll together.
Sorry, what was that, Recibi?
Kind of all rolls together. I wonder what all you have planned for the future too. After while I'm thinking about that.
I have no plans beyond today.
Lots of good ideas. I know, just our conversation, we were talking about things like Convoke, and I have the most fond memory of put down your pitchforks again, people. But having a full set of gushing as a boomkin, just sitting in bear form, spamming moonfire and killing everybody. Stupid stuff like that. A whole episode on the most overpowered things in the history of WoW PvP.
Oh,
There's my viewer suggestion. I'll write it in.
I like it. We should actually. That sounds
I
like
think-
a really good episode.
It's funny. Like, I think one of the things I always appreciate this. I'm sure you do too, Garrison. Like, when you read even if it's just like one comment on a forum, and you see like the name like technically PvP, and like someone's like talking about how like good the podcast is, like that always makes my day. Even if it's just one person, that's really all it takes. And so anytime you post on Reddit and someone is like, "Oh, this podcast is great," I always get really happy reading those comments. That always makes me feel good.
I get a huge warm fuzzy knowing that somebody has listened to the show and enjoyed it and gotten something out of it. Like, so in preparation for this, I'd actually posted over on subreddit and over on the official forums, and there's one person that commented and said that they listened to the show and they loved our spec dives because guaranteed, and the way they said it was basically out of all the spec dives that we've done, they've listened to them and they've always learned at least something from either on how to play the spec or how to respond to something from that spec, and how to kill them or whatnot. So I appreciate that. And whenever I'm running around as Jarisar in BGs or doing PvP, pardon me, and somebody, hey, are you Jarisar from Technically? I'm like, yep. And whispers. Yeah, makes my heart full. Definitely.
Do they say, "Are you Garrison, the PvP Padawan?"
Not anymore.
Oh.
Maybe they'll call me a podcasting boomer now, since we'll see. But no, you're right though. It's nice to be in the world of PvP, the world of Warcraft, and be recognized. So
yeah.
The fact that you still have something to do a podcast about almost kind of baffles me, because I never thought how long WoW would last when it very first started. And I know like the numbers of like for World of Warcraft as a whole are down, over the years. But I think as a spectator for PvP, it's still like the best you can get, the most content you can get, the most clean content you can get.
You're not wrong. It's I honestly sometimes, like, when this rolled up and it was like episode 200 and I realized like just how much we've done, it kind of blew my mind. Like I did not think that this would be going on this long, that I'd be still doing it 8 years later. Not that I ever had an assumption that I was going to end after 5 years or something like that, but just like you said, like I wasn't sure if the content was going to be there, because there's definitely been some content droughts in the PvE conversations. But PvP seems to be a mainstay. It seems to always feed itself. There's always changes. There's always something to talk about, and I'm not. I shouldn't be actually surprised, but I am. Yeah.
PvP. I think WoW PvP is just this miracle. Like
It really shouldn't
in all definitions of the word. Because it is one of the oldest esports, and who knows what the future is going to hold. But I'm just absolutely blown away that it's lasted this long. I'm really happy it has, because think about the fact that like StarCraft, another old esport. I mean, that hasn't been a competitive game. That hasn't had a competitive big tournament for years now, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but. So it's pretty incredible, and I think so many people are just drawn to PvP. Even during this last AWC tournament, there was Max was watching the stream and watching Sea-Doo punch his chair, and everyone was tweeting about how like fun and crazy it is, and that's true. WoW is just this great game, and I believe in the game, even though I just said it's a miracle. I believe that it should exist long into the future, and I think creating content about the game is really important. So I think there's value to a PvP podcast, because it helps get people excited about the game. I not to go on too big of a tangent, but I've never liked this sort of doomerism that's kind of involved with WoW PvP. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've heard that WoW PvP is dying, right? I'm sure we've heard that since 2008, right? Like, probably even before that. And, you know, it's it will only die if there's no one, you know, left around to prop it up. So I think if you care about PvP, you should, care about podcasts, care about streams, care about tournaments. I mean, there's a lot going on for WoW. And I'm just glad it's existed this whole time.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if the devs ever I know they were surprised by the reaction of the gaming communities that latched on to World of Warcraft and really took it on. But I don't think they at any time expected that it would be what it is today. Back in 2007?
When there was the first tournament?
First tournament.
Yeah, probably 7, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even earlier.
I can't remember. Oh man, I can't. I'll look it up some other time. Yeah. Actually, no, I can probably find it on Wikipedia here. Tournament.
The first tournament was World Series of Video Games. This is 2007.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2007 first. That was VHell. VHell at Coach VHell.
Coach VHell, who now works at Blizzard.
Yeah, a lot of old folks too.
Yeah. Can't remember when he started. He started much later. But yeah, he's been working at Blizzard for the longest time. I remember when I saw him in the West Coast Chopper video when they're making the choppers, and he went in there showing the guys.
Oh, I forgot about those motorcycles.
Yeah.
Weird crossover.
that was a crossover and a half. Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, distracted. Somebody messaged me something important. So, I think that pretty much covers it. Why don't actually, Big? We have that final question we always talk about.
Yes. What is now? Okay, we always ask the question: if you had an unlimited budget and unlimited time and resources, what is one thing you would change? Now, do we want this question to be about the podcast or about WoW? Like, what do you think, Garasar?
Well, we've pretty much been self-serving this whole podcast talking about ourselves. So why don't we finish it talking about ourselves? So let's make it about the podcast.
Can I answer first?
Sure.
I want a big, giant gaming mansion, technically PvP mansion, on a hill, and I want to have our podcast be live. Now we would have to figure out if it's in Canada or America, or I guess England. We have to figure out where it's going to be. Maybe we can meet somewhere in the middle in the ocean. But yeah. But I thought it'd be at least for like a year to live in a gaming house. I think it would be very fun. As long as it has like a split floor plan, we're not like next to each other. I've always thought that'd be fun to like live with, people you game with. Assuming that they aren't, they can do laundry and stuff. But yeah, that's what I would change. I want a technically PvP mansion to do a podcast from.
I love it. We'd have to have like a wax statues of Venruki and Ziku and I don't know, like the big names, right?
Yes.
All right.
What changes? You need to start talking about pet battles because that is technically PvP. I'm sorry, that was bad, but I don't really have anything I would change. But
no,
I don't know, because from the last time I saw it, and then I come in the Discord and I see the show notes and everything, I'm like, oh, we have we've evolved a little bit already. So yeah, a lot has changed since then.
Yeah, I've learned some lessons over the years. What can I say? Now come on, let's be wild and fancy free. Recibi, pick anything. What can we do to, if unlimited money, what would you do to make the show better or supreme?
I mean, it would be cool to, even if it would just be every now and then, but to have like an in-person, like recorded podcast, like everybody's in a room together, and not like a live, like like an event or something, like actual just that would be cool every now, once a year or something. Meet, and that would be something cool to see. But as far as like format and stuff, like you guys got it. You got the entertainment, you got the news, you got the people, the guests.
Indeed,
it's good.
I like it.
I don't think you need too much. I don't think you need an unlimited budget to make unlimited. I hate the word content too, but yeah, unlimited good content.
I think if I could, I'm gonna make this two-prong actually. Is I would give everybody, like myself, you Big, Jake as well, like a professional studio to record out of, just for that pristine audio, because I'm a bit of an audiophile in that way. So I'd love for us to all have that, super good mics, properly sound insulated room and whatnot. And with that money as well, I would love to try to get access to some of those some of those high profile people that we hear of but never actually talk to, like Miss Kunis, who used to play World of Warcraft and that, and I'd love to, or like even be able to like go to somebody's house and just like knock on their door and be like, hey, we're technically PvP and you just won something because you made 1800 on the ladders, congratulations, and here's a gaming computer or something like that, right? Like that'd be the stuff.
Spin your Cavill on. Oh man, spin your Cavill would be good.
Yeah, it's just stuff like that. That's what I'd like to do. Well, if I had,
do you have a Patreon?
No, I've been doing this all for free, man.
I think maybe it's time for the listeners to decide if you should have that budget or not.
Maybe. Yeah.
Garrus, he's being humble. He doesn't have a Patreon, but he has an OnlyFans. That's how he's secretly been generating cash in the background.
Let's be real. It's faster cash. It's okay.
It's only bros. It's not OnlyFans. Come on, let's be
only bro. Okay.
No, there is a Patreon though, but it's for the Bonus Roll Productions, because they take care of a lot of stuff, and they.
I think Garrus needs his own. So.
Maybe.
You just need beer money, okay?
Yeah, true.
That's true. It's true. Ooh, a technically PvP beer.
Ooh, I can make that.
What would that be?
I brewed some beer. I could do that.
Yeah. I think an English bitter.
English bitter. Where am I going to get the
ESB?
For that?
English special bitter.
Who's going to send me the hops?
Oh, dude, we grow those in Canada, don't you know? I'm serious.
Yeah, no, I know. We my family are farmers and stuff, so I've made some wheat beers using our own wheat from the farm. So that's
cool. I remember you used to talk about that. You're making your own beer and stuff.
Yeah, listen to a lot of podcasts, driving around on the tractor in circles. I actually remember watching some MLG back in the day, like before, like it was on the smartphone on Twitch, but it was like you only had the 1080p, or like you couldn't downscale anything, so it was terrible. And I'd be riding around on a giant tractor so loud trying to listen. I had to hold my phone up. It's like 110 degrees outside. So yeah, do all that just to watch WoW. Yeah.
Couldn't wait for the VOD later, eh?
No way.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. All right. Speaking of not waiting, why don't we get into the news and we'll roll this out.
All right. Who ordered up an extra large can of whoop ass?
All right. So into the news. Everybody knows, but the AWC mid-season clash happened on the finished on the 3rd of March, really on that whole weekend. Absolute banger of a weekend. Huge congratulations though to Team Echo for taking the gold. Almost didn't make it. They had to get knocked down to the lowers and then fight their way back up. But yeah, they ended up taking it. So kudos to them. I think that was probably the most interesting weekend just because of the battles that were happening, not just in the arena, but also happening on Twitter about complaining about ping. So,
and we did get to see that weekend. I mean, I think the best game of World of Warcraft ever played. That was the craziest, the trailed 2v3.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. But that was the highlight of the tournament, I think, for me, and I think maybe for a lot of people. That was pretty crazy. Definitely the best game I've seen.
And it's not just that 1 minute, like that was the climax to it.
Yeah.
But like that whole match, like it was touch and go. Like
yes.
one team would drop down to like sub 10% and then come back up, and then another team would drop down 10% and come back up. Like Sam was almost dead there for the longest time, but CD was able to bring him back a few times. It wasn't until that last time that he died. Finally, I think it was a banger of an episode, of a matchup. I will say it was somewhat anticlimactic because after that, and then going into the lowers, and then coming back up into the finals, I was a little surprised because I was kind of expecting a bit of the same matchup kind of style, but it almost felt like everybody was just tired, and so it wasn't quite the same. So it wasn't quite the same quality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I wanted C2's team to win so bad. Obviously, NA, right? But yeah, it was. I think after that series, that series spoiled us, right? That was It was too much. Kind of set the expectation a bit too high, but it was a good tournament regardless. Every matchup was insane.
It was, yeah. Rasiwi, did you were you watching it on your phone, or were you watching it? You watch it at all?
I didn't catch it live. I just watched Vinricky did a big breakdown video of it afterward, and I watched that whole thing, and so it even caught my eye. But yeah,
it was. If you have a chance, I highly recommend just go back and watch the VOD of the match. It was a hell of a game. Jake, you got here just in time for the news segment.
Yeah, I'm very sorry about this.
It's all good. It's all good.
Did Chromie get you time traveled, or?
Yeah, I literally I actually zoomed past the Demon Hunter nerfs that they got lined up. I think they got lost as well. So
yeah.
Oh no.
Well done. Well done. Did you catch the gauntlet though in the AWC mid-season clash that happened a couple weekends ago?
I did. Yeah, I did. It was I didn't manage to watch all of it, but I did have I watched as much as I could do, and I think, to be honest with you, I think it was probably the best bit of WoW PvP I've seen in a very long time, and that was what was so great about it, is that there was so much potential for great entertainment, and that's what I think WoW PvP has to offer that I don't think anyone outside of our little small niche bracket of people and community knows, because it's fantastic. It was so exciting to watch, and yeah, just brilliant.
Yeah, can't disagree. I think the thing I liked the most was and leaning back into that Potty C conversation we were having earlier with Dratnos, even said that he started watching it, and he's a PvE guy, like he doesn't watch PvP, but he was seeing so much stuff on Twitter, he had to go over and watch to see what was going on. So I think that just goes to show, like, if we want to, all we have to do is make the noise, make people know what's going on, and we'll probably get some of those viewership numbers up too. Speaking of the PvE stuff, though, the MDI Global Finals finished on the 10th of March. Again, another amazing weekend of competition between teams all around the world. And huge congratulations to Mandatory for taking the first place that weekend and officially ending Echo's 7-year streak in the Mythic Dungeon International. So that as well, an amazing weekend. And it's like some of the finishes were like sub seconds, like milliseconds and stuff like that. Mandatory, actually, there's one, they were on the verge, I think they're within 5 seconds of winning, and they had trash on top of the boss. It was a Sanguine dungeon, and the trash died and dropped the Sanguine bundle, and the boss didn't move, and it got an uptick in health from the Sanguine bundle, and it cost them the win. So they probably would have been able to down in the 5 seconds, but instead it took over 13 seconds for them to take down that extra 500,000 health that had upticked from the Sanguine. So and then hot fixes. So a little bit of class tuning happened over reset. I think big, since you seem to you're always pretty up on what's happening and well ahead on the analysis of it. What's the word with the PvP tuning that happened on reset?
The vibe I get is that Demon Hunter didn't really change that much. Maybe a slightly less tanky, but probably still going to be one of the best, if not the best spec this for the remainder of the season. Boomy and Feral both got some survivability buffs, which I think is pretty good. Those two specs that tend to be bullied a lot, especially in solo shuffle. Hunter specs got some buffs, survival and beast mastery. And actually, one weird thing, Jellybeans actually joined Bicmex's team. I don't know if this is a joke, but Jellybeans apparently joined Bicmex's team, the Fiends. So now they have 2 hunters on their roster. So we'll see how that goes. Mage is interesting. Fire Mage got a massive series of buffs. Specifically to Living Bomb, and if you haven't seen the Twitch clips of that yet, it's pretty remarkable. Living Bomb damage is absolutely nuts when there's a lot of targets around, because they all kind of splash into one another. And so there's a clip of, you can easily find some clips of Fire Mages decimating Demo Warlocks and just living bombing, and the imps get the dot too, because it's spread with what's it called, Flame Strike. And so there's just these crazy death logs that you can see. Don't really know much about the Mistweaver changes. Holy Paladins apparently do quite a bit of damage now with damage build, which is kind of cool. Haven't seen that in a while. Not sure how the Disc Priest changes have affected the balance of that spec, but probably pretty good, especially if you like pressing damage as a Disc Priest. And then it looks like Outlaw Rogue got some survivability nerfs and a few damage nerfs. And Enhancement Shaman got a healing buff. Warlocks got a few different nerfs, specifically to their mobility and Call Observer. And then Warriors got some execute damage buffs and a nerf to this passive that makes Fear Not Break on damage. So that was actually one of the things I tweeted about this during the tournament. There was a clip. There was a game where Absterge died in a Warrior Fear that hadn't it lasted for almost 3 seconds without breaking on damage. So they nerfed the talent that enabled that to happen. So yeah, I know probably people wanted more Demon Hunter nerfs. I think that's sort of the feeling I get, and maybe there's going to be some more. I know that the AWC and MDI was preventing tuning from happening. In fact, I think the last tuning we got was January 24th or something before this. So I'm assuming they're going to go back to regular tuning until the end of the season. Knock on wood. But yeah, that's everything that happened.
I'm expecting it. I like that. Just for the Mistweaver, our friend Mystical, he did make a tweet about it and said casting as a Mistweaver still sucks. Fist weaving is still great. So
okay,
yeah, and apparently, Warlocks are easier to run down. Surprise.
Sounds good.
Indeed. Jake, I think.
Yes.
Do you have anything that popped up for you else from the show note or from the from the class tuning that happened and the hot fixes?
No, in all honesty, Big just gave probably the most comprehensive answer I've ever heard in my life. It was really good. I think it's not what everyone wanted. I think the random extra nerf to Observer and some of the extra bits and pieces they add in maybe weren't necessary. I think they're good. I think there's a lot of parts of the classes that were nerfed and the specs that were nerfed that were too OP. But I think they sort of, again, Blizzard seemed to sort of miss the mark a little bit with how they want to do the tuning, and especially with how they do buffs, like randomly buffing Living Bomb by another 400% is kind of crazy. Like, why are we working those sort of numbers? I feel like that's just quite high. I mean, I'm a bit, as you guys know, like I'm a big believer in 3 to 5% buffs or nerfs, and sort of every kind of 2 to 3 weeks, because that means that classes, okay, if you see that they're really overperforming, you kind of just give them a little nudge down every 3 weeks, every month, even. Like, it just sort of, you don't have to do it. So there's a huge amount. But if we're getting like tuning each month and then kind of increments of 3 or 5, I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
but no, nothing else.
Also, that's just a big number, and I don't know, has there been like a number like that, a disparity between PvE and PvP that much? Because to like have the difference be 10 times almost, I mean 800% more in PvP than PvE. Is it a 4-set thing in PvE that makes it too overpowered or something? I don't know. But I just always thought, like, you know, if we got to the point where 100% would be like the max you would have between PvE and PvP, I can't believe it's 10 times a spell.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I've never seen a sort of buff of this magnitude before, but there is a disconnect between PvE and PvP, and I think sadly sometimes there's too many voices going out on X or on the forums or Reddit, and I'm sure that the dev that is kind of left in charge kind of doesn't really know what direction to go, and just sort of is kind of trying to maintain the player base. Doesn't sort of just go, oh well, my class will be nerfed, I'm gonna go play League of Legends, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, it's funny because it's kind of a meme at this point, but every time there's hotfixes to Hunter, any of the Hunter specs or class tuning, it's always like all damage buffed by 2%. Like it's usually just all. It's always the word all with all the Hunter specs. So the Hunter dev, they just like to do like a little tiny bit of like nudging, and then like Mage, right? 800%. That's quite a bit. So I don't know. I'm assuming there's more than one dev who works on each spec. I don't know how that all works, but I think they all kind of have their own little design philosophy, which is kind of cool, you know. But yeah, kind of maybe some disconnects there.
Well, I think if we ever get a dev on, we can ask them for sure. I think you're right though, Rasubi. 800% is astronomical. Like, I don't think we've ever seen that kind of a boosted number hit any of the hot fixes. I suspect that was just kind of like one of those, like, okay, fine, let's just swing it and see where this goes, and just have some fun. I remember we've said this a few times on the podcast with different people, where they said that they love to see similar to like League of Legends, where this balancing happens, where a class will all of a sudden become bottom and then drop back out, and so it creates a meta shift, because as a class ends up becoming boosted to you know, people go to that one and it's super strong, so then everybody goes to that one, and you know, it changes the meta, and then it'll fall out and something else will rise up because it gets boosted. So I suspect that this might be something like that. Even is like, okay, you know, Fire Mage hasn't had its time for a while, let's make Fire Mage awesome. Boom, here you go. And even then, like you're saying, I think it's only within specific instances that it's really awesome. And in this case, it happens with demo locks, because of all the pets and everything. It just like, you create this chain explosion almost that you would never otherwise see. So
yeah, don't stack up versus Fire Mage, you know.
Yeah,
you're giving them what they want.
Exactly. But I mean, in any case, this, like, talk about a way to hard counter demo locks, which people were complaining about for the longest time, right?
Yeah, just explode.
Yeah.
Explode the imps before they explode you.
Indeed. I think one last piece of news. I hadn't really talked about it yet through all the other stuff because I think it needed a little bit of its own piece. But yeah, Jellybeans left the move, or more specifically, he was dropped from the roster. So that happened right before the AWC Gauntlet started. It was done very quietly, in that it was meant to be quietly. Jellybeans, I think the way it went about wasn't great. So the Jellybeans went to Twitch, made his own video talking to his community about it. Absurge, after the AWC, went on and did his take on it. Essentially, the team has been, Jellybeans has been having some issues. It's not just now, it's been happening since basically day one. So for like the last 8 years, they've been dealing with this on and off, and they were finally done with it. So yeah, so they told Jelly, go get yourself some help. And so he ended up then turning around and joining the Fiends. So I don't know if that part is the meme or not. I don't know if he's actually part of the Fiends or not. Well, I'm sure we'll find out when season 4 starts and we start seeing what the rosters are in the cup signups. But yeah, that said, Jelly has been very well known as a hunter player. That's kind of what he's most well known for. But he's very capable of doing multiple other specs and classes, and I suspect that I doubt they're going to have a double hunter team. I don't think hunters are that strong. So I don't know. We shall see. Time will tell. But that a little bit of drama. I don't want to get too far into it. If anybody's interested, if you go over to Jellybeans Twitch, I'm sure you'll find the VOD there. And if you go to Absturge's, you'll find it there too. You'll find his. And I think Ntix did a conversation about it too on Twitter. Usually cover stuff like that, and there's a few other things. But yeah. So that pretty much ends the show. As always, we like to finish off with some shout outs. So I'm going to start with you, Rasiwi, as our special guest. Is there anybody you would like to shout out?
Anybody that I would like to shout out? I don't.
All right.
I don't know. As far as WoW, the only thing I think of is I would like shout out to Snuts, because that is one person that actually like set and helped like teach me a long time back in the day, like a decade ago. And he just keeps winning everything. So it's kind of cool to see him just keep winning stuff over and over. But yeah, cool. I don't have any shout outs.
No, that's a good one, I think. Big, how about you? Do you have any shout outs?
Yeah, shout out to Jax. He just made, I've given him a shout out multiple times, but he just made an add-on, or I think a week or something. Right now, a lot of streamers are getting like harassed by invites. So people make a character with like a not so nice name and spam invite people to their group. So Jax made an add-on to block invites. Simple, lightweight add-on. So if you're dealing with that for whatever reason, go check out his Twitter. I don't know what his Twitter is, actually. I should have came prepared for this, but let's see. Jax.
You were not prepared.
I was not prepared. Jax IRL. If you go to Jax IRL on Twitter, made a weak aura to prevent you from getting invited to a group. Obviously, you're going to want to turn that off when you do want to get an invite, but good add-on to have.
Nice. Jake.
Shout out to the guys doing roadworks on the M25 at Junction 10. Thank you for making my journey so much longer than it needed to be. Yeah.
Was at least relaxing?
It was lovely hearing your voices as I was storming down the motorway. But yeah, no, it was I had a good time. No, I think realistic shout out. I'm going to shout out, to be honest with you, to all the people behind the AWC this, I think this season. I think there's probably the same people that has been the last couple of seasons, but it's been fantastic. I think the hard work that they do and the quality that we are given very much in comparison to how it used to be, is so insane that it's awesome to see. So, real big shout out to them.
Indeed. That's a good one. I am going to shout out our umbrella organization, Bonus Roll Productions, just for all the support they've given us over the years, giving us the facelift when we first joined, when they're Warcraft Radio, and then also, like, you know, the hosting, all the back end support, and just being an awesome crew of content creators who support each other. So kudos to them. All right, Rasiwi, you said that you TikTok and you have a podcast and you stream and stuff. Tell us where can we find you on the interwebs for all that fun stuff you do?
If you can spell my name, that's one good thing about my random Jin name from back in the day, is it's unique. But it's Raishiwi. You can find me on TikTok, do impressions and covers and stuff. Also on YouTube, a little bit on Twitch. If you want to listen to my podcast, it's the Problematic Purple People podcast, and we do deep dives on purple themed villains. Like I said, maybe we'll do some on Sylvanas and Illidan. If you want to hire me to sell your product for voicing, or if you want me to do a character, I can do everything from Elmo to Illidan. You can hire me at backstage at Zachary Scott OK.
Awesome. I wonder what Illidan would sound, or what Elmo would sound like trying to imitate Illidan.
Oh, I'm in love, sir. Oh, I'm not prepared.
Oh my! I feel like I've missed out on this. I feel like this came up earlier, and I've only just realized that you do all these amazing voices.
Oh no! We didn't really talk about it.
Oh
but yeah, I just did a Warcraft theme one where I did a bunch of the races and the Murlocs and Illidan. So yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was sitting in the school lineup, right? Sitting in your car.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Every day picking up my kid takes like 30 minutes, so I just make an impression video.
Love it. I love it. Big. Can you kick off letting everybody know where they can find us?
Yes, I can. You can contact us directly with a tweet to @technically_PvP or by an email to technicallypvp@gmail.com. You can also join our discussions on the Bonus Roll Productions Discord.
And you can visit the Bonus Roll website to find the podcast directory with us and many other great shows at www.bonusroll.gg. This directory also has a review system, so head on over there and tell everyone what you think of your favorite shows, including our own.
Indeed. And as always, links for everything we talked about are going to be in the show notes. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll chat with you next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.